the floor to you, Alessandro. Do you have a presentation? I have the link. We have published the first three.
Yes, and I can share the screen, or you can do it, I don't know.
You can share the screen.
Okay, let me see if it
Should be
works.
able to.
Does it work?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just showing your page, so this is an easy task for me. So thank you very much for this opportunity presenting Coding at Home. So Coding at Home is an initiative that is built on a similar initiative that was launched in Italy by the University of Urbino and the national television, in order to try to take the opportunity of lockdown, if possible, both to answer a new need of creating new links between teachers and pupils and families, but also by taking the opportunity of reinforcing a natural link, exploiting the, I would say, the intuitive and engaging nature of coding. So the idea was to try to propose very simple and engaging activities that can be played without any instrument, without any device, in order to allow kids to play coding together with their families, but also keeping on the coding activities that they could have started at school together with their teachers. So the idea is that the same coding principles that many teachers are using at school in order to make their teaching activities more engaging, rewarding, or amusing, can also be used to conceive very simple games to be played within pupils' families. And this is the idea. On top of this fairly simple idea, we decided to just propose like board games that are also do-it-yourself activities. And the format is made of quite short videos of 10 to 15 minutes each, in which we propose a simple activity every time that is conceived to be followed by watching the video and then reproposed, recreated, and adapted alone right after having watched the video. So just to tell you something more, this is the landing page of the Coding at Home resource on our website, codeweek.eu. And the first three videos have been already uploaded, and they are just in English at the moment, but they will be then translated in the languages of the many languages of the platform. And each of them, in particular, let me show you not the introductory video, where just an explanation and a general plan is provided, but the first and second one, where you can see my face, and also a board game here. And every time I start by building the game, so by telling which are the building blocks and the way in which the game can be made by yourself. And then I propose the rule of the game, and I show it in practice, typically exploiting my daughters that play who play with me the game. And the coding principles that are introduced every time are incremental, but on the other hand, every video is considered to be possibly taken by itself without any prerequisite. So in 10 to 15 minutes, you end up receiving both the information and possible guidelines to build a game and the rules to play it. And that's more or less the idea. Just to give you an idea of the number of videos that will be delivered and the coding principles that will be touched, this will consist of 20 to 40 videos. And more or less, I think that we will be able to publish 4 to 5 of them every week. And the videos will cover basic principles like elementary instructions, sequences of instructions, and the idea of an instruction set, the idea of the separation of role between programmer and performer. And then we will have conditional statements, loops, and so on. So all the main coding principles, but we will also provide some activities based on cryptography, other ones based on pixel art, on drawings, on digital as a concept to be hopefully explained with a hands-on activities to provide the clear idea of what the difference between a digital encoding of information and an analog encoding of information and so on. So a concept will be, I would say, inherently introduced every time, but I would say also never explicitly mentioned, because those activities are first of all considered to be playful and not as teaching resources. So if you have questions, I will be more than happy to answer.
Yeah, I'll just add that we are translating the first 3, and they will most likely be available by the end of the week in all the EU and Western Balkan languages and Turkish, so subtitles.
Great, I'm very happy to know. And by the way, I noticed that we have also to add links to the online materials to be printed out in case they want to have exactly the same board and tiles that I use in the video. So I have to provide the proper links to be added to the page.
Jakub, are there any questions?
Yes, I see now that just one question just came from Madhumalti Sharma, who is asking, are all the videos designed for family, or are there some videos that can be done by a person alone?
Oh, well, all of them can be just played alone or not necessarily with families. So the idea is that they can be clearly understood without any help from a teacher. This is the key idea. Some of them are activities that can be played alone, so single player games. Some others can be played in teams, or some of them are competitive, some others are collaborative games. So I think that they can be played in any scenario. And please also notice that they are conceived to be possibly played without the help of a teacher, but they are also conceived to provide concepts and experiences that teachers can possibly leverage in order to bring coding in their teaching activities as well.
One additional question is about whether they are all unplugged, whether they are off screen, or whether there is something on, with screen and without screen.
They are all unplugged. So the screen and the internet are used only to watch the video, but not to play the activity. Some of them have some online counterparts, so possibly the same games in specific case can also be played online. Some of them have also Scratch companion activities that I will point to. but they are just unplugged.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us. So we hope we will launch these officially. So this is like a peek preview that you all get in this webinar of the English version, and we will make some more noise when they're out in all the languages. But if you're fine with English, you can obviously go to that link already now. Thank you very much, Alessandro. I know you need to go, but thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. I also apologize for leaving the meeting. Actually, I hope to be able to follow a recording of the video because I'm very interested in the following speeches. So please, if it is possible,
yes, we will. We normally record them. We put them on the blog.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thank you very much, Alessandro. So now I would like to present Valtencir Mendes, who's from UNESCO, who has kindly, agreed to share UNESCO's experience about distance learning and their resources. Val, are you there? Can you turn your camera on?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great. There you are.
Can you see me?
We can see you.
Fantastic. I'm sharing my screen right now. So
Okay, perfect.
So thank you. Thank you very much for this invitation. It's a pleasure to be here with you in the EU Coding from Home webinar. Very excited to join you from UNESCO. We are in the headquarters in Paris. Of course, we are teleworking as everybody else. And I'd like to share with you a little bit what we've been doing during this lockdown time that is also connected to your work. So the first thing that we did was actually code a website and a tool to have this global monitoring of schools closures, caused obviously by COVID-19. So one of the data that came from here was this very incredible data that for the first time in history, we have 1.5 billion students impacted by schools closure. So of course, these raise a lot of questions. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you. There was just someone who was not muted, so I will make sure that other people are muted when they don't speak. But we hear you well. You can continue. Thanks.
And just I'll add that if everyone turn off their cameras, please, to save the bandwidth, except Val. Thank you.
Thank you. So part of this work you have been doing, the first one was we created this COVID-19 education response. So the first item is the support we are giving to countries that directly are asking for our support. The second one was we created a global education coalition that we have the pleasure to have you here joining us as well. What we tried to do with this coalition was, on one hand, identify the needs that countries, communities were having in terms of online and distance learning education, with a group of private companies, NGOs, and big organizations, content providers, to see how we could match those needs with those resources and that these partners were bringing to the table. So this was one action. The other one was the webinars that I will talk a little bit later on. And then a space for in which you can tell your story. You can join us and explain how you are coding, how you are teaching. That is, I think, very interesting to hear from your side as well. Then we are working in terms of some issue notes and with some research. We are also identifying some national platforms, how governments all over the world are having their digital solutions, their digital platforms ready for this moment, what they are doing. And then in terms of distance learning solutions as well, I will mention a little bit. And finally, how it's important to monitor the adverse consequences of school closures. So if we go a little deeper in terms of distance learning solutions, we have a session that is the self-directed learning. So we have their initiatives like Coded, Code.org that join us, also Code Week. And then if we go a little further in terms of the webinars, I think this gives us a very good picture of the priorities in terms of topics we have been working. The first one is how we can ensure equity in all remote learning solutions that we are designing. And we know that many families, even in Europe, they don't have enough resource, they are not connected, etc. So how can we have a solution, a strategy that doesn't leave nobody behind? So number one. Then it comes all the supporting teachers. We know that this has been huge. Teachers have been put so much effort, but we need to know about their well-being, their work conditions. So we explore this topic, and all this is online. You can connect and see from different experts and from the real community. The third theme that we worked was the gender dimension as well, because we know that women and girls, they were actually much more impacted by these school closures than boys and men. The other one is exams and assessment, how we do in this kind of situations, right? And then another one is properly, we talked about the distance learning strategies, what it works, what doesn't work, what we are talking about in terms of high-tech solutions, low-tech, no-tech, how we can combine this blended solution, right? So this, I think, is also important to have a deep analysis, and because we have years of distance learning and knowledge of online learning, etc., but not in this kind of context. Then we had a dedicated topic in terms of schools reopening. We actually launched a framework with UNICEF, the World Bank, and the World Health Organization on this. And then we have a very important topic again, the learner health and well-being that is essential when we talk about teaching in this kind of conditions and learning. And also finally, skills development. Skills development from the learner point of view, from parents, from teachers. So this gives you a little bit what we have been doing. In terms of the global coalition, we have different priorities, but I would focus on the address gender challenges. And here I will connect with our work in terms of coding, etc. For us, it's very important to keep this dimension of an inclusive and equitable quality education that includes, obviously, the girls' perspective. So in this publication, we try to identify some good practice in terms of coding. We keep doing it through different UNESCO events as in initiatives like this one with GIZ, etc. And I would say that from that publication, we have this framework that I think is interesting in this moment. That is an ecological framework of factors influencing girls and women's coding and related to STEM. So when we do any coding approach, we need to take into account the learner perspective. So for example, the early engagement to build linguistic, spatial, and number skills. So what we need to consider from the learner perspective. Then we come to the family and peers. So how we can engage families, community, to build this ecosystem that can help girls and the marginalized communities to engage with coding. And then we have the school perspective as well. And then finally, the society in terms of policies, etc. So I think it's interesting to have this in mind also in this moment. And I will finish because I don't want to take too long with this invitation. This invitation is for you to join us in this campaign. Tell your story, tell how you are coding, how you are teaching, how you are learning. You can send a short video and we are putting there in their website and invite you to join us. For us, it's very important to really don't leave anybody behind. It's very important to hear the voice of all the community. So that is the invitation. I'm happy I will stop here as was suggested, and I'm happy to answer any question. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Val. That was very interesting to have the international picture and also like the model with the learner, family and pair, schools and society. It gives kind of a structure to what we're doing as well, because we are all in all those spheres trying to get more people into coding and digital. Jakob, are there any questions?
Not really questions. People are thanking Val for this presentation. Vasiliki, thank you very much. And Merlin says that this model was very nice. Katerina says that it was inspiring. And I guess indeed we will if Vali, if you permit, we will paste the little model that you showed in the blog post. So because I think it's self-explanatory and it is indeed very good. But no really questions. But we have shared the link also to the UNESCO page, so people can go there and explore if there are some activities for them. But however, I just see that we got a question from Sophia Reis-Murray asking what are the impacts on students with disabilities?
Yes, my mute is my. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
So of course, this is an important collective, and we are trying to track the impact on this specific community. And once again, the most disadvantaged community are the ones that most suffer in this kind of context. So we saw, for example, in some countries that they, instead of putting more resource to this community, they're actually took away the resource that were in place, because usually in some contexts, in some jurisdiction, these are offered by NGOs, by external organizations. So they have special teachers that go and support, for example, students with disabilities, with visual impaired students, etc. So from our perspective, we really are trying to make, well, give some suggestions to government, to organizations, to put actually more resource on these most disadvantaged communities. So, and some organizations linked to the UNESCO arena, they are also creating some specific documents. I recommend you to take a look in the website in UNESCO. We have some guidelines also for different disabilities, etc., in this context. But our message is, and I think is important, that in a moment of rebuild our national education system in our countries, let's make it clear that education must be one of the priorities. Obviously, health is key, obviously, in the economic dimension, yes, but we need to allocate funds to education in target disabled communities, marginalized communities, because if not, they will lag behind again. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, it's a great initiative, really. We might be doing something here. I can see in the chat all the ambassadors together. So you might get some input on your tell the story part of the website.
I would just, if I can, one last question very quickly, if we have 1 minute, because there was one more question about how this helps, how the segment with no tech, for example, no computers are helped. So you mentioned it already, Val, that you see that there are many people, vulnerable people, or people in socioeconomic difficulties without access to the technology, to the devices. So how do you help them? How do you address their needs?
So what we are doing is to connect with some of these members of the Global Coalition. They are content providers, so they are linked to, for example, big public televisions. So we are identifying specific content, for example, Sesame Street, Khan Academy. So we are getting these contents, and first, the ones that we can broadcast through national public TV, so we put them available. But we are trying to make it a little bit more, not just one-way communication. So we are linking to some very low-cost text message feedback system, or if it's in that context is available, smartphones. We also build some application to, so parents, students, and teachers, they can interact. And so it's not just a passive way of receiving these contents through television or radio, but there is another way of communication there. So that is how we are doing. We are trying to, even in some countries, they combine a satellite content, television, public television, mobile phone, fantastic platforms, but also they print documents, sort of spreadsheets, and they post to students' home. So here, I think we need to be very flexible and really have a needs assessment of every specific context to have a ad hoc solution. So we cannot have a one-fits-all solution in this context as we can imagine. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We have learned. We also have learned that there's a lot of different solutions. They're very innovative. The teachers in this community, also our community of how to continue teaching, although there is a lockdown and computers are not working. Everything. It's been very inspiring to follow these webinars. Thank you very much, Val. We appreciate it really a lot that you could take part and share UNESCO's work in this area. I will now give the floor. I don't think there are any more questions I haven't seen. So I would like to give the floor to Kate Barnes from Microsoft, who has a very interesting initiatives about artificial intelligence and girls. And it has this very cool name, which I lost now, but it's about Alice in Wonderland, right?
Let me try and, yeah, I think I'm on mute there. It absolutely is. I'm going to try and share my screen so I can present the deck I have, just a couple of slides. Let me know if you can see the deck.
Yeah, not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Just bear with me 1 second and I'll try and see if I can get this screen. Here we go. Should be connecting now. If this it's telling me it's connecting, so hopefully it should be working. If not, maybe I can get Jacob to.
It's not working, but I can open.
Thank you so much. That would.
I can just tell me.
That would be great.
To move the slides, okay?
That would be great. Thank you so much.
And so please remember to post.
Super. So hi everybody. Great to be on this really inspiring and interesting webinar today. And we just want to a concept that we've devised around Alice in Wonderland. And we've devised this concept to bring forward the curiosity and match it with artificial intelligence, and encourage young girls and women to explore STEM and AI. So if we just go to the second. Great. So we've basically found that in Europe there is a concentration of AI talent only really in the UK and France, which we find is unacceptable. It's high school students to artificial intelligence to get them involved in and become the future AI talent in Europe. There's statistics of around of AI workers in Europe are female. So we find this completely unacceptable. And of 36% of STEM graduates, those 36% of STEM graduates are women. So we have change these statistics and get young girls and women more excited about AI and STEM, so we can build the human capital in the region. So what we're trying to technology into the hands of students and give them a bold vision for the future. So we don't want them just to use technology for the sake of technology. We want them to use technology to create and to address some of the greatest challenges that we face, some of the sustainable development goals. So we have come up with this concept of DigiGirls AI, and Alice envisions the future. And the reason being is what we're really trying to do is, as I said, get more diversity and inclusion into artificial intelligence, and kind of democratize AI and create opportunities for irrespective of background or geography. So we've brought together this kind of hackathon package, which obviously has been disrupted with COVID, and has class online, so it's now accessible for everybody, which is quite exciting, because it means that we've basically structured mentoring talks, workshops, and resources around AI onto a website, which I'll shortly provide you with the link, to get girls excited about artificial intelligence. If we just skip to the next slide. Super. So what we're trying to do is really, whether it be young girls who have absolutely no experience of coding or girls that have a bit of a background in STEM, this resource page is for everybody. So it basically structures content depending on your level of technical skills. And you can just be, as I said, a complete beginner, or you can be somebody who is a little bit more experienced. So it's really a collection of classes, tutorials, games, practical exercises to get young girls and women up and running with AI and ignite their interest in STEM. We'll just go to the next slide. Super. So yeah, it's really, again, like if we look at the US in comparison to Europe, we see that the US has twice the artificial intelligence labor force as Europe. So we collectively have to do something about this. So what Microsoft has done is joined forces with both Accenture and Avanade, two other excellent technology partners, and we devised this DigiGirls AI class. And now, in celebration of Girls in ICT Day, which was last week, we've published this resource page, and it's just a really initial set of resources around it's basically structured into machine learning, fundamentals of AI, deep learning and neural networks, and AI for good. So the idea, very much is to stay focused on the UN Sustainable Development Goals and get girls curious and excited about using AI to solve some of our greatest challenges. So I've included the link here to the resource page, and it's broken down into those kind of buckets of content that I've just gone through. And you can go from very beginner level to advanced level. So yeah, we're just kind of excited. It was really COVID that pushed us to do this, because we were running these events, these physical events with partners, and then they obviously had a limited reach, but now we've got the resources online. It's accessible for everybody, and so during this period, we hope to get more girls interested in coding and thinking like a programmer, and really kind of delving further into that STEM pipeline. So we hope that you'll find it interesting, and I'm willing to answer any questions if anybody's got any questions.
Thank you, Kate. Can you, I'm trying to find the resource page. Could you perhaps paste it in the chat if you find it faster than I do?
Yes, I've
there is
put the link
for it.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm going to copy paste the link and put it into the chat box as well. It's also on the slide deck, but here we go. Here it is as well.
Yeah, okay, great, thank you. Jakub, I'm not sure he's been juggling. Are there any questions?
Sorry, I was like making sure that the slides are on. I think
Thanks,
I did not see any question. Now there is one from Madhumalti. What is the age group? What is the target age group of this?
Great question. So it's resources targeted mainly from 12 to 18-year-olds. But obviously, that depends on the level of digital skills, but it's really targeted kind of 12 to 18-year-olds. There's how to build a chatbot, there's machine learning, there's Minecraft tutorials, there's lots of games. So there's a kind of variety of resources for depending on the age group.
Can I ask, are there any lesson plans? Is there material directed to teachers?
Yes, absolutely. Great question. So there's tutorials online. So it's for teachers and educators, as well as for young people that can go directly onto the site and explore the resources. So it could be used in lesson planning. There's lots of materials there, for example, that can be used by teachers directly in their lesson plans.
Are there any more questions for
I don't see any other question. People were, of course, thankful and excited to hear about this initiative, and they will, I guess, go to the page. I just want to remind that the presentation also will be available in the blog post that we will publish probably tomorrow with all the presentations and short summary of this webinar. So Back to you, Annika.
I think maybe I'm not sure this works, but if everyone could turn off the cameras except the speakers, that would be great. Because the bandwidth, my bandwidth, and other people, and then we don't hear, and it's most important to hear. I think. Thank you very much, Kate.
Sorry, there's
that was very interesting.
One more question from Madhumalti. If Kate can share her email address, so maybe either you, if you want to paste it or post it, or we can then connect you, Madhumalti.
Yes, happy to do so. I will.
Thanks.
And very important to involve girls. Very happy you do that. Okay, we have another presentation on artificial intelligence. It's fashionable, one might say, but it's also very important. I have Ville Sinisalo from Finland here, from a company called Reaktor. Part of setting up a MOOC that's called Elements of AI. That's now available in all the languages of the EU. But maybe you can I give the floor to you, Ville, to present more in detail what it's all about. But it's a really great course. I have started it myself.
Thank you, Annika. It's a great the course already, so that's really good. Unfortunately, like it's not yet in each and every language, but we are like
Okay.
we have the translations from the Commission them out like during this year for all of the European Union languages, the official languages. So let me try to here. That's the first task to see how capable of technical skills am I. Let's see. Something because I can't.
We see.
Yes, because I can't see from my window. Is it full screen in your end or?
No,
it is.
It's not full
okay.
screen. You need to do full screen somehow. Otherwise, it's fine.
Yes,
there you go.
Good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm Ville. I'm from Helsinki, Finland. Working with especially like Reaktor education as the company Reaktor. Like we are a tech consultancy house with 550 employees worldwide, but it's only like myself and 11 of my colleagues. So we are quite a small player, but tackling kind of the same issues that then it's really nice to hear like great initiatives like booming in this field. So as I said, use the chat if you have any questions. Just a few slides to go through, just like a brief history and kind of like encouragement to take elements of AI. The course and everything started. We wanted to find some kind of a project with University of Helsinki, so something that we could do together as a company and the university. What could it be? And kind of like I had our eyes on MOOCs and kind of on the field of computer sciences. So something in that. When we like dived deeper, what should we do? Kind of like I felt that the basic knowledge of AI should be really for everyone, and no conversation what goes around AI, because it's a huge and really important topic, especially for the future. It does come like you need to have the basic be able to participate in the discussion about the ethics or the politics or the legislation development that goes around AI. So that was kind of the for the whole course. We started our work and kind of like adopt the course as elements of AI. It's really it's around 25 hours the whole time that you need to take it. It's based on an academic course that the whole text has been rewritten, understandable, to be more fun, like more relaxed, I would say. But because of the background being academic, you can get 2 ECTS points when you complete the course. It comes in 6 chapters and has 25 exercises, which are multiple choice and essays you need to get through it. But really, the punchline is that it is targeted for everyone, and nothing in special. No special skills are needed. You just have to have kind of the curiosity to start the course. For the course itself, starting what is and what is not AI, I would say, and going through the basic terms and basic knowledge of it and neural networks to the part 6, which is about the implications of AI. And after the course, you should be able to understand the implications of AI. You should be able to think critically about AI news and claims. You should be able to like pinpoint more closely what really is AI. And most of all, you would be more ready to discuss about AI and kind of like have an opinion about it, like a really opinion that is kind of like science and stuff like that, and not just something that you have heard somebody else say or you have learned from Facebook post or something like that. So really, it has taken really by storm. So I'm really proud of that. It has already like close to 420,000 students enrolled. We have reached our goal of teaching 1% of the citizens in Finland, which was our like initial goal. Now of the whole Europe, so that's something that we need everybody that wants to be involved, like help us to reach that. It's totally free of charge. Like it's lacking kind of like the business side, I would say, but we are really proud of that, and we just want to have the basic education of to learn. The things that we really want to highlight, what we started basically aiming for, and which really shows by the data, is that over are women at the moment. And it's really for everybody, because over 25% are over 45-year-olds. It's aimed from age 6 or so. I think the oldest one that I know of was 82 or something like that, and it really goes through. The target group is it has gotten like nice awards, like the MIT Inclusive Award, and the Fast Company has nominated us 2 times in 2019, 2020. Proud of is that the Elements of AI is ranked as the #1 computer science online course by the users. So that's really what I think that really counts, that the users really and because of the success of this course, we are of course building the next course, which is called Building AI, which would be the follow-up for this, where you get more like depth on the matter. You start programming yourself on AI, and that's coming later this year. So I encourage everyone to start a course, as Annika has done, and really start. And now I'm open for questions. Thanks.
Thank you, Ville. That's great. Just remind us again when the languages, do you know when the other languages will be ready? I know there is Swedish, Estonian.
and we just today launched the Latvian version
Okay.
of it. Yeah, but we are rolling out, I think, still Benelux versions, or so that would kind of like be 4 languages, and all of the languages are coming basically. But you can, if you want to have the first knowledge, you can always like sign up to get the kind of the newsletter when your like language is. You can do in our like in the web page that you Annika posted already, the elementsofai.com.
And how would this be beneficial for teachers, since in this community we have lots of teachers?
Like this course has been used in Finland in elementary school, so meaning students like in 13 or 14-year-olds. They might need a little help with the mathematical parts, but other than that, that's totally fine. And this is really a perfect course for high school students, so 16, 17, 18-year-olds. That's the one test group that we used a lot when we made the course.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I see here Katja from Slovenia. She is very happy to enroll once it comes in Slovenian, and she will also share. So I can also say, since it's our Jakob's and we're kind of involved in the translation part. Not involved as such, we're not translating, but we will know when it's translated. So we will also share with this community when there are more questions. I'm not sure Jakob is able to hear.
Yes, I'm again able. I had some technical difficulties, but now I can hear. But I also shared the link to the page where you can sign up to the notification that Ville mentioned about the languages.
Nice, thank you.
So it is there, and of course we will share the presentation in the blog post. And I see also from Ivona, she already participated in this course actually, and says that it's very, very interesting. So recommendations for everyone, of course.
Okay, thank you. If there are no other questions, we have finished the presentations. So I would once again, well, maybe I should thank you all for joining. I would like to remind you again, of course, that we have the MOOC that's starting on Monday. So please share this information with your colleagues and parents and anyone you think is interested. We would also, we make a call for presentations for the next webinar that will take place in approximately 2 weeks or 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, something like that. And we just would like to remind everyone that coding activities can be registered on the map the whole year, of course. As we say sometimes, every week is Code Week, right? And obviously we saw already last year, we saw an increase of activities that were dealing with artificial intelligence. So I think there is a great appetite for this out there in the schools around Europe. Jakob, would you like
think
to...
last thing we should not forget to do is to the group picture, as we do every time, so that we can have a nice picture for the social media or for the blog post. So now we would suggest that we all turn on our cameras. And Annika, I would just ask you to take a picture as well, because I don't know how well my connection will work when everybody turns on their cameras. And of course, if you have a Code Week t-shirt, then please show it. Yeah, Pauline is always Pauline. You wear it all the time, I think, right?
Just like me.
I like Annika, exactly. So
always in orange.
So on my screen we are almost full. I just need, I think, 5 more people to switch on their cameras so that I see everything. And when this happens, I will also take a picture. So thank you very much for joining, and let's wave a little bit, or let's.
Well, we're taking pictures here.
Yes, exactly.
That's great.
Excellent.
If you more could turn on the cameras, that would be amazing.
Yes.
I get this. There we go. Yeah, come on, one more. I need one more for my
Yes.
screen. One more camera on.
And
Yeah,
that's it.
Csaba, you did it. Thank you. That's so nice.
So
Thanks
thank
a
you
lot.
very much. Just a reminder, we will, if the recording is saved, I hope it will be, so we will post it on YouTube, on Code Week YouTube very soon, probably still tonight. Tomorrow we want to publish the blog post with the summary from the webinar and with all the presentations, so you can read and you can review the presentations again. And these are the practicalities from my side. So thank you very much, and Annika, back to you for the final words.
No, thank you very much for joining, and don't hesitate to, if you have ideas. We will also have, for the ambassadors, leading teachers, and edu coordinators, we would like to have a brainstorming about Code Week online, maybe for the autumn. So you will receive a mail about that. You can already start thinking about it, because I know at least that's how my brain works. One, you get the idea, and then overnight you will have fantastic, crazy ideas that you can mail us. So if kind of the restrictions continue and we cannot do Code Week as we usually do, what can we do instead? Or maybe not instead, what can we do on top of what we already do so fantastically? So keep that in mind. You can mail. We will have some kind of brainstorming in a few weeks. If you're not part of the education coordinators, ambassadors, and leading teachers, you're still welcome to come with ideas. We're open for anything, really. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you will have a fabulous Wednesday evening, and looking forward to seeing you again in approximately 2 weeks, all in your orange t-shirts, right? Thank you very much. And thanks especially to our speakers. Thank you. Goodbye.